everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't watched my videos previously, then my name is Frankie and I am a mum to a 4-month-old little girl called Eliza, who's assisting our video today. She has just woken up, to be fair. It's not that I'm boring her with this. And today's video is going to be what my top 5 baby names are for both boy and girl. When Eliza was born, we did always know that she was going to be Eliza once we found out she was a girl. Eliza is a family name for my family, as in Elizabeth runs down my mum's side of the family. Elizabeth is my middle name and also my mum's, and it goes sort of past my nan's generation as well. And when Eliza was born, I told my dad that we'd named her Eliza, and he did inform me that also Eliza was a family name going down his side of the family. I think he had a great aunt and an aunt, distant aunt, he said, that was also called Eliza. So for me, that was really lovely that it ran down both sides of my family. And obviously being the next generation and the fact I'm married, I have lost my maiden name. So it was nice to have that family connection sort of associated with Eliza for the next generation. And Jake got to choose Eliza's middle name, which is Sophia, and he decided to spell it S-O-F-I-A. His family emigrated to Greece probably near enough 20 years ago now, and he wanted a bit of a Mediterranean twist on her name. And also, because Eliza isn't a particularly long name, we didn't want her middle name being longer than her first name, which is why we went with the F-I rather than the PH version of Sophia. But I think Eliza Sophia is a really pretty name. Obviously I'm going to say that because we've chosen it, but I think it's one that she will also like as she grows up. So we will see. You'll let us know, won't you? You will let us know when you're older. Yes, you will. So yeah, let's get into this. So firstly, my first name other than Eliza, and there is no particular order to these names, actually, I should put out there. And also, before I get stuck into it, these names could be potential names that we would use if we did have another child later on down the line. But I'm not going to tell you which ones. But there are videos out there sometimes of these kind where you say baby names and then they say, oh, but we wouldn't use them. And I think, well, that's not your top 5 then, is it? So I just won't tell you which ones are probably front runners for us. But let's get ahead with it. She's so funny with her timings. The first one I would choose is Isabel. I would spell it I-S-O-B-E-L. My best friend though has a 7-year-old daughter who is called Isabel. So she got in there very quickly, and when she told me what she'd named her, I was like, damn it, you got in there before me. Isabel was always the name of my dolls when I was a little girl. I always wanted to be called Isabel myself. And if you'd asked me from a young age, I would have always said if I had a daughter, she was going to be called Isabel. But as I said, my best friend went on to have her little girl first. And then her daughter actually was our flower girl when we got married. And we are really in close contact with my friend and her daughters. Eliza is growing up with them. She's already seen a huge amount of them since she's been born. So Isabel's just never a name that we're going to be able to choose. I do love the name for the fact that you can change it up. You know, you can have Isabella if you'd rather that, or as I said, how I would spell it different. My best friend, she spells it I-S-A-B-E-L-L-E. I also love the fact you can shorten it to Izzy. I really like the name Izzy. They, funnily enough, don't use the name Izzy. They just call her Isabel. But if I'd had an Isabel, I definitely would have shortened it to Izzy. And yeah, so that is my first name. The second one I would choose would be Imogen. I really like the name Imogen. I think it's very similar to Eliza, as in people have heard of it, but it's not that popular. that you hear it all the time. I think it's a very pretty name. I think that it's a name you can carry on through life, and it doesn't feel too babyish or too grown up for a baby. And I'm not opposed to Imi, which is what it'd probably be shortened to if the children grow up together. You know, kids, they always decide to choose nicknames and things like that, and you do have to think of these things when you're naming a baby. So Imi wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't say I would say I'm on the fence with Imi. But yeah, Imogen I think is really lovely. Another name that I really like is Lara. I think Lara's really attractive. Jake's not particularly keen on the name. He thinks of Lara Croft whenever we say it, and also he just said that it's just not one that would stand out to him. Yeah, so for that reason we probably would never use it. A baby that was in special care that actually was next to Eliza when she was first born, they named their baby Lara whilst we were there at special care, and it just reminded me what a lovely name it is. And obviously you could have variations. I think a girl I went to school with recently, she had Clara, so slightly different, but I think that's also a very nice name. But my choice would be Lara, definitely. A name that I would choose for festive reasons, if we had a winter baby, I really do like the name Holly. I do visualise a girl of about 7 or 8 who has a red ribbon in her hair. How ridiculous as I'm saying this, but it's true. You do think of things when people say names, and that is what I visualise. And I did go to primary school with a girl called Holly, but I do think it's a really pretty name and very festive. And yeah, if you had a Christmas baby, I think that's a very nice name. And the last name is Beatrice. I do think, I love the traditional name of it. I love B, what it would be shortened to. And I just think it's very, very, very pretty, very delicate, very quaint. And yeah, just really do love the name. So now we're going to go on. I keep flicking my eyes because I do have to write things down, guys, because I have got baby brain. But my next choice of names are my 5 top boys' names. I would say generally they're a little bit more traditional, but see what you guys think anyway. So my first name for boys would be Joshua. I do love the name Joshua, and I love the fact you can shorten it to Josh. I think that's a proper boy's name. I think as Eliza and Imogen, like I say, that it is popular, but it's not popular at the same time. And I think it reminds me a bit like Jake. Jake is Jacob. He's not particularly keen on his name, which is why he always calls himself Jake. He never tells anyone about Jacob. But I like the fact you can shorten it. So like you could have Joshua for formalities and then Josh around your friends. A bit like I am actually Francesca, but I tell everyone to call me Frankie. So that's probably why I quite like that name, because you can shorten it. Another name I heard of recently whilst I was pregnant, and I actually thought Eliza was a boy before I found out I was having a girl. And I heard a lady talking, when you commute, you generally get on the train with the same people. And I was hearing her speaking to one of her friends, and her little boy is called Finley. And I thought, I really do like the name Finley. I really think there's something quite cute about it. And yeah, just thought it was a really nice name that, you know, if you've grown up and you've got to think about jobs that they go into when they're older, I thought that was quite a respectable name to have. So that would definitely be on my boys list. And another name I love, and you're going to crack up at this, I love the name Oliver and Ollie. It's been a name a bit like Isabel. When I was a little girl, I loved Oliver. Bless you. And the reason was, Oliver Twist is one of my all-time favourite films. And as a child, I would say my mum put that film on an awful lot for us. And in my head, I thought if I had a little boy, he would look like Oliver Twist on the film. So I've always loved the name Oliver, and I think Ollie's really good. I think it's a bit of a cheeky name, Ollie. I do associate it a bit with Ollie Murs nowadays, but I think Oliver's a really nice name, and yeah, another name that you can carry forward into adulthood, and yeah, just a nice name, nice solid name. Another name that I like that is also traditional is Harry. And maybe it is because we all do have a soft spot for Prince Harry, don't we? But I think Harry's really good. I like the fact you can't shorten Harry, really. I just think that also has an element of cheekiness to it. And I think it's quite posh as well. I think of a posh person when I think of Harry. I don't know why. It probably is the association with Prince Harry, isn't it? But yeah, I think that's a really good boy's name, and it's quite boyish as well, if you get what I'm saying. And my last boy's name is a name that recently has come into my radar, and that is because if you watch Channel Mum, you'll know Emily Norris, and her youngest son is called Jackson. And it's my real out there name, and I know some of you will be watching it think it's not really out there, but for the name choices I've always liked, it is quite different for me. But every time she talks about Jackson, I smile, and I think I really do like that name, and I can't put my finger on it why. I just think it's got a really nice ring to it when you say Jackson. And obviously if that gets shortened as he gets older, it's Jax probably, and I do particularly quite like the name Jack. But I think as a full name, Jackson, yeah, it's different, and I definitely, the more I talk about it, the more I like it. So that is my top 5 boy, girl and girl names. And yeah, who knows, maybe one day one of them might get used again. But it'd be quite interesting to know what you guys think of those name choices. Let me know what you think of Eliza's name. Did that sit well with you when I announced her name? And yeah, I do love these sort of videos, watching what people think of names and what they would choose. And yeah, I do find it interesting. So let me know what you guys think. And just very quickly, lastly, I did want to say to anyone that is watching my videos at the moment and following us near enough day by day, if any of you guys have got a recommendation for a scalp stimulant, because I am losing a lot of hair at the moment. Every time I wash it, a lot more clumps seem to fall out, which doesn't bother me because I've got very thick hair anyway. But I don't want to be taking like a supplement that sort of sets off hair growth, because I have got PCOS. I don't want to be sort of stimulating my whole body to be growing hair, because my body doesn't need to encourage that department. But what I do need to do is just start building this hair growth back if I can. So if any of you guys have got any suggestions, can you pop it in the comments box below, please? And I will be watching vigilantly to hopefully get some sort of answer that can help me, because at the moment I just feel like I can't tie my hair up when I go out to see people, because I do feel like I've got a bit of a man's hairline getting up, like coming up at the moment. So anyway guys, I'm going to stop rambling, and thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for my next video. Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.